Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Mark, this is Spiguyver Backpacking, and today I'm out here just sitting out. Man, it's a nice day. The sun is out, it's in the upper 50s right now, and it's a really nice day. So I had something that I wanted to work on. I've been wanting to work on for a while. I had to order some parts, wait for them to come in, but now that I've got everything together, I wanted to do this video. It was something that when the very first time I set up this specific hammock, I was like, I could make this hammock a little bit better. So what we're talking about today is the Ridge Outdoors. This is the Pinnacles hammock that they've got. This is the one that I showed. This with the suspension. This is a fully integrated. It's got a bug net, full zippered bug net. It's like $50. Amazon, you could get it for like $50. If you went to their website, I think it was like $75, but marked down to $50. Great hammock. It's made of quality materials. It's like in a 1.6 fabric, so it's the right stuff. It is about the best put together intro package you can possibly come up with for the money. But there are ways to make it better, and really for not much money. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be taking a look at what I am going to do to this to make it just a little bit better. Stick around, we're gonna do that. All right, so we have the Pinnacles lay flat hammock from Ridge Outdoor Gear. This is an amazing deal. What you get right here is incredible for the price. So when I hung it up, I was like, this is the real deal. Everything here is solid, but we can make it better. So what were the things that I pointed out? Well, number one, I'm not a huge fan of the Eno type pocket on the side of the hammock that everything stuffs into. I think there's definitely better ways to hang a hammock. If you have a double-ended stuff sack like this that opens up, cinches on either side, you can really deploy your hammock a whole lot faster and stow it a little bit faster without as much risk of it getting wet and getting it on the ground. The other things I didn't like, you can see here this continuous loop that's on there. It's like a, I don't know, 3/8 inch nylon strap. It's a nice quality, but a regular continuous loop is lighter and gonna do the job just as well, if not better. And then the last thing, if I get this pulled out just a little bit, running through the hammock at the top of the bug net, you have your continuous ridge line, which the ridge line is something that you want. You want that ridge line in there so that you can get the same hang every time. So they were thinking along the right lines when they did that. But this one is made of 550 paracord, which stretches a little bit, so you don't get quite a perfect hang every time. Even if it's hung a little bit tight, it can stretch a little bit. So you can get a ridge line, a solid ridge line, or an adjustable if that's what you want to go with to replace it. And so these are the things that we've got. So here I have the bag, double-ended stuff sack, ridge line, and new continuous loops for it. So what we're going to be doing today is removing that bag. We're going to be removing the ridge line, we're going to be removing the continuous loops, and we're going to be swapping it out with aftermarket stuff that in my opinion is just a little bit better. Let's get a weight on this the way it sits right now and see if making those changes makes any difference at all. Okay, so the weight right now with the way it came is 647, 648 type grams. It's moving around a little bit, and that's just because of a little bit of wind here, I believe. But what is that in ounces? So this hammock is 22.88 ounces as it sits. That's a fully integrated bug net. So let's see what it is once we finish it up, just for comparison. All right, the first thing I want to do is take this bag, the stuff sack that it comes with that's attached to the hammock body. I want to take that off. And what you'll find is if you look on the seam, there's actually two lines of thread running right there, and in some places it overlaps, but as I look at the hammock body itself, I can see that it is just stitched onto there and that it's not an integral part of it. So what I need to do is remove one of those lines of thread. So what I need is a knife or a blade or some sort of scissors or a thread puller, whatever. So what I'm going to use is this knife here. And the reason is it's got a really nice sharp point that it comes to that I can take my time, get underneath the string, and just slowly pull one thread at a time without cutting the fabric at all. And that's the important part, is we don't want to cut the fabric. We don't want to risk the integrity of the hammock body itself. So we're going to take our time doing this. All right, so we've got this off of there. Really easy to come off. I've got no rips in this. I've got no rips in the body. Once I actually got a couple of those threads started, you can see I could pull it apart and it would kind of almost zipper off. And then when it got to a point where it would stop, you kind of cut another couple and it just kind of zippered off, and it made it really easy. And then you could pull all the stray ones off. So now what I've got, so I have a reflective black 110-inch ridgeline. This is an 11-foot hammock, so 83% is about the general rule for a ridgeline. So 83% is about 10 inches per foot. 11 feet, that's 110 inches, and that's what I've got here. I've got it from Dutchware Gear, so it already has buried loops. So it's looped and buried back within itself, so it's nice and strong and structurally sound. And it's buried quite a ways back in, probably 2 inches or so, maybe a little more. So this is what we're going to be installing for the ridgeline. And for the continuous loops on the end, rather than those big nylon ones, I've got these ones. And they're orange because this is an orange hammock, orange and grayish hammock. We're going to be using these ones, and they've got this knot in them. And so the way they'll go is they'll actually be on the hammock like this. So this will be through the channel here. And then you've got this knot, and what it does is it allows you to do the Beckett hitch here in this section, and then when you go to release the Beckett hitch, you pull down, and it really takes the tension off of that knot, making it real easy to take it off. These are from Myers Tech, and I picked up quite a few of these to replace out most of my hammocks, but these ones are orange ones, so they work really well with this hammock. Since there isn't a dedicated head and foot end, it is a symmetrical hammock. I'm not using different colored ones. If you had a dedicated head end and a dedicated foot end, you may want to go with like red for head and black on the other one, just to delineate the two sides. On this one, doesn't matter, so I'm just going with orange just to color coordinate it just a little bit. So one of the keys is when you take out the old continuous loop, how do you get this through the channel without having to fish it back through? So I've got this little piece of Velcro strip here. And what I do is I'll put it around this one, and then after I unhook the other one, I'll put it through, attach it, and then use this so that as I pull the other one out, it fishes this one through and makes it real easy so that I'm not having to feed it through and try and get it through 58 inches of fabric. A whole lot easier. So let's take a look at the end real quick. So here on this one, you can actually see that red continuous, or the ridge line that's in there. If you go onto the inside, what you'll notice is that ridge line isn't buried like the ridge line that we're going to be putting on there. So it's not quite as strong. It's actually just knotted on there, and you can see it actually slips a little bit. So to get it off, usually you would have to undo the continuous loop, but for this one we just untie it, we can pull it right out and set that one to the side. Now one of the things you will want to find is you've got this ridgeline organizer. So that bug net ridgeline organizer you want to keep. So what you want to do is pull that off of there so that you've now got that. And what you can do is, even before you do anything else with it, untangle your ridge line that you're going to be putting on there, and you can run that right through here. Takes a little bit because it is bug net, and so it does catch a little bit, but it's sliding through pretty well. So you've got your ridge line, and now the ridge line organizer is on the ridge line we're going to be putting in. So I've got that. I can set that off to the side. Next thing I want to work on is that continuous loop on the end. So let's take a look at what we're going to do with that. All right, here is that big strappy continuous loop on the end. What you want to do is work it so that you can actually open it up so you can pull it through. Now, it's a little bit tough because this is tight and they kind of knot it on there, so it's not like a normal continuous loop the way that it's through there, at least not from my experience. Now, so here we go. Starting to get it through. Working it loose, working it loose. All right. So I guess it was kind of through there, just like the other ones. Now, here is the new one, and I've got this piece of Velcro. So what I will do is run it through here, loop it pretty tight because I want it to really get as much adherence to itself as possible so it doesn't rip open as I'm pulling it through. Okay, and I've got it so that as I pull this through, you can see here, as I pull this loose end, it's got this end that's connected to my new one, and I've got both of the Velcro tips so that as they pull through, it's not going to snag and pull them out. So now it's, because this continuous loop system that they have on there is quite a bit wider than what I would normally use, it is a little bit of work pulling it through. So I'm going to work on this, and we'll come back once I've got it through. Okay, so now I've got it almost all the way back through, and you've got this little loop on here that I also want to make sure that my new continuous loop goes through. And what that is inside of here there is a little bit of a peak loft that I want to keep on there. So I've got that pulled through. I can actually undo the Velcro at this point, pull that off, and now I've got the old continuous loop out of the way, and I'm going to run mine through itself, give it a couple of good yanks, pull on it. Okay, so it's there. Now what I want to do before I really get that one set is I want to take my ridge line and slide it out through this hole here. And there's two different ways you can do it. You can either undo this and run it through so that it's underneath the lark's head, which I actually prefer. Gives you just slightly longer ridge line, or you can run it through lark's head and then go over the top. So right now I've got my ridge line, so continuous loop on this side, ridge line, and it is in there. Now we've just got to do the same thing I did on this side on the other side, and we should be ready to get this thing hung and see what it looks like set up this way. And we'll throw it on the scale and see what the difference is. All right, here you go. This is that same hammock, now in a double-ended stuff sack. You've got the continuous loops hanging out each side. So now, if you want to go hang this, you can set up your suspension on one end, undo it, pull it out, so it never hits the ground, no risk of that happening. So let's get this thing on the scale and see. Oh, let me get the scale right. All right, we've got 610 grams, and that is 19.62 ounces. So we've dropped it. This is a fully integrated bug net hammock, 11 foot, 58 inches wide. this is a solid hammock, and we're under 20 ounces for this. 19.62 for a complete hammock in a stuff sack. This is a killer deal. The additional stuff that I added on here, I spent $5 for this double-ended stuff sack on eBay. I spent $5 for the loops, and I spent $7.50 for that continuous ridgeline. About a half hour of my time, and I've dropped this a little over an ounce, and now it is a solid hammock. Let's get this thing hung up and take a look at it right now. So here you go, a nice hammock. A little bit lighter and definitely more reliable now. I've got that ridgeline in here, which is a thinner ridgeline. It's not gonna be as dynamic, it's not gonna be stretchy, it's gonna be rigid, which is what you want so that you get that same hang, the same droop in your hammock every time you hang it. And then these continuous loops. Because I do Beckett hitches, these ones work awesome. I'll tell you what, I don't think there is any better deal on the hammock market right now outside of this one. This is an amazing hammock, especially for the cost. Great fabrics, great setup, and I spent $17.50 and now have upgraded this. It's dropped the weight a little bit, and it has made it absolutely a solid hammock. Good continuous loops, good ridgeline, and a double-ended stuff sack so that both stowing and undoing this is going to be much easier, much simpler. Guys, if you're in the market for a new hammock, if you've got new hammock hangers that are looking to get into it and want to get into it at a good budget point, Ridge Outdoor Gear, the Pinnacle hammock is the way to go. This thing is solid. Everybody that I know that has gotten one really enjoys it. It has been a solid performer. I've got several nights in it, sleeps really well. I've taken it out backpacking, and I wouldn't hesitate to take it out backpacking more. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Go down below, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so before. I'll see you guys down the trail.